I spoke to you for half an hour and cut it down to
Don't
10
you worry,
minutes.
for a sand rabbit.
So that's out now, is it? The
I don't
book?
know when that's out there. Like I said, I'm down the shed, Ray.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's out fairly soon. But it's a good read, and I don't know if you'd be interviewing people 5 days a week on the radio, and then once a week. So you do 6 days of interviews.
Yes.
A week. 45 weeks of the year or something like that.
No, go on anyway.
Or around that, you do 35, 40.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of talking and a lot of interviews, and I don't know if you've ever read back on any of them, but it's a real surprise to be as transfixed by what you've said in written form as it was when you heard it.
Right.
And there's something about reading the interviews. I actually think it's a gentler way of being with people. There's a lot of kind of hullabaloo around and a lot of tension around television and radio, and it's very in the moment, and it's kind of pressurized. But when some of the interviews that we did were just phenomenal, and to read say Adam Clayton and Paul McGrath, Bob Geldof, they couldn't have been written any better. And whatever it is about the particular intensity of an improvised chat show, it just brings out stuff in people that maybe because say someone's going on your show or the Late Late, they can kind of say, I don't want to talk about this, I don't want to talk about that. And,
as they do.
And I want to shape it this way and shape it that way. And you have to have a map almost agreed with them beforehand of where the interview is going to go.
Not everybody, but a lot of people.
Yeah,
yes.
So generally speaking, but that would be kind of a traditional way of doing it. And I remember when Bob Geldof started talking about the grief that he has experienced in his life, and I'm sure he's done it with you on the radio as well. He said, I suppose I can't come on a show like this and not go with whatever comes up. So I guess that's the nature of the TV show.
There's a sort of an unwritten contract.
Yeah, whatever arises, you go with it. And you also know, like we've had people talk about stuff that we couldn't include. So we have the luxury of being a pre-record. So if somebody says something that they don't want to have included, we can say we won't include that in the edit. So that's the nature of it. In
doing it over the years, do you think people give more or less because there are 200 people looking at them?
I think that people give more, and I think that there is that kind of unwritten contract between me and them that they have to be open to whatever happens.
Yeah.
And people do say remarkable things, and there's been one or two people now who've been quite guarded, and you work with that, but generally speaking, people have divulged the most amazing stuff. And
how is it going to work with no audience? And I'm asking this question genuinely because I don't know the answer.
I don't know. I don't know the answer either to that. Okay. I would be concerned. I don't know if the fact there's an audience in the television studio, what level of energy that brings to the encounter. If I was just talking to somebody in a television studio with nobody there, would it be as interesting? I don't know. I mean, we don't start recording, I think, until November, December. So maybe
things will have changed.
Maybe I can't imagine they'll have changed that much. But and I am not coping well with this lockdown thing at all.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Hasn't been good for you, hasn't it?
Not at all. No, the first couple of months were fantastic. I dying for the break. The next month after that, then we'll say May going into June, I think that every family in the country found it tough because we were kind of 10 weeks into living with each other and nobody else. And we were missing the stimulation of other families and strangers. But we got through that and we navigated that. And then there was excitement because the whole thing is coming to an end and bars are going to open and we'll be able to go to matches, and sure, the Premier League is going to finish up. And then that's been, I wouldn't say soured, but the crack has been taken out of that with this. It seems kind of endless, and I was listening to you there and you're talking about the kind of fatigue in terms of instructions from the government. What I think is happening is that people are just starting to rely on common sense. And if they hear the numbers are up in their area, then they kind of behave accordingly. But that's my sense of it in Galway, Ray.
right,
And maybe Galway's different, and I'm
Yeah.
out the western side of Galway City in a small parish.
Yeah.
So maybe things are different here than they are,
Right, maybe you're right.
in
Maybe you're
Tala
right.
or
But you know that
West
cliche
Farnham.
that about common sense?
No.
Not that common.
Well,
That's the thing. But anyway, yeah, my sense of it is that there are messages, but they're mixed messages, and we need to have clear cut messages. We need to be told what to do, and I don't think we've been told what to do, and people are going their own way. And
that's exactly. If you're not getting clear messages, and then what you do is you resort to instinct and common sense. And my sense of that around the parish where I live is that it's happening. That people aren't shying away from one another, but at the same time, people aren't. We're not going around hugging one another either. And there's a kind of, there's there's a low key wisdom at play, and it's really, really has absolutely nothing with the ads. I hate that ad. Jeez, they played it in the break there.
Yes.
It's so they're talking to us like we're 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
COVID has had a lot of, and the real slow, sincere. Jesus, I feel like throwing the radio out the window. Talk to us like we're adults, will you?
Yeah.
So my sense of it is that that we're kind of common sense.
Common sense. Okay.
Common sense.
So you said May, June there.
Yeah.
So how bad did it get, or what effect did it have on you?
After drama, I'll tell you how bad it got. That's what you're after. That's a fishy little question, is it? Say something awful. Were you walking under the nip all day drinking whiskey, shouting at the kids? How'd you know that? I was. I was the worst homeschool teacher ever. Daddy, put on some clothes. I think back then, I think we just started getting on each other's nerves.
Yeah.
I even started playing Fortnite. That's...
It's Roblox now, Tommy. You're so behind.
That's how bad it got. I was buying skins and
avatars and yeah.
Totally. I was only dying to be groomed by some lad. I'm not.